That awkward moment when you're gonna talk about stuff that your parents don't know you did growing up. Hey y'all, my name is Jeff and this is Trying to Be Catholic. Today I want to give you guys a short video, hopefully short video, about my testimony, right? About my experiences that helped me to get to where I am today. Um, so basically, growing up, I was super involved in the faith. My mom and my aunts and my family were very much in the church. So growing up, I was always helping out, always going to mass, going to church events, things like that. And so growing up, I very much had that faith around me. I went to Catholic school, so I very much grew up in the faith in all the areas of my life. Um, but when it came to relating to people, I kind of struggled because of my faith, because I wanted to be the goody two shoes, and I wanted to be the one that, was always doing the right thing because I wanted to get to heaven, because I, quite frankly, didn't want to go to hell, right? So I was like, well, if I don't want to go to hell, then I gotta do the good things to get to heaven, right? And so that's what I did. Growing up, I was a goody two shoes, and I was doing the right thing, and I got a lot of crap for it from my friends and even from some of my family, right? I would always be getting made fun of. I'd be crying a lot. Growing up, I was very sensitive, and so it's kind of how it was. Um, my 8th grade year, I had to change schools because my school closed down, and I tried to reinvent myself a little bit. I was like, no more crying this year. You're not gonna be that sensitive guy you were before, and so I tried that, and it didn't work out that great. And alongside that, I started changing a little bit. I started helping others cheat on tests, and whatever to look cool. I was trying to get this girl to like me and whatever. I was a mess. And so, I was still overall kind of the goody two shoes, but I started changing and entered my freshman year of high school. I was like, there's no way I'm doing this again. I'm not going to be the kid that gets bullied and whatever. And so for the first half of the school year, I was kind of, kind of chill and whatever, just kind of making friends and whatever. The second half of the school year is where I really started to change. I started swearing a lot more. Bullying other people and making fun of them and all this stuff. And I started watching pornography because that was the cool thing to do back in the day, you know. And I really started acting different around my friends, from my family, and from church. I was living a sort of double life. At home, I would be the goody two shoes, getting good grades, in the honor society, doing, helping teach CCD, which is like Sunday school for kids and all that stuff. But outside of all that, when I was with friends, I was different. I was swearing, I was making fun of people, I was watching pornography. I would, after school, if we got off early one day, I'd be like, yeah, Mom, I'm going home. But then I'd go to my friend's house and we'd play video games or whatever. Or even look at, stuff we're not supposed to be looking at. And it really affected me in a lot of ways. I didn't really realize how much I would become addicted to pornography. And it got to the point where I was watching it almost every night for a couple of hours on end, looking for stuff. And it was almost like a high that I was looking for, like my next hit. And yeah, and as time went along, I started to feel a sort of shame about it. I knew that it was wrong because, one, it was what I was teaching, and two, I felt like a hypocrite because I was teaching it, right? Not even so much the fact, that it was just wrong in general, but because I was a hypocrite, because I was like, if I believe that we're not supposed to be watching that stuff, and I'm watching that stuff, I'm a pretty crappy person, right? So, I would be watching that stuff, and I'd have this deep shame. And as years went on, and it kept going, and and it went from the screen to off the screen. I started lusting after women and looking at women differently, and it got to the point where I wouldn't even have to look at a woman's face, and I would know who it was with like 90 to 95% accuracy. It was really bad, and so this kept happening through my years in high school, the same pattern, and I was struggling with it, and I couldn't stop. And then, my senior year of high school, I met this girl, and before before we even started dating, things just started becoming sexual because she came out of an abusive relationship. I had all this backlog of things that I had watched. So, you know, it was like the natural thing that sort of happened. And so, yeah, that our relationship started on a really bad foot. And because of that, ultimately it led to our demise. You know, there was something in me that was still trying to fix it, you know. I was struggling with trying to fix this idea of not doing things because of the things I'd watched, and really trying to learn how to have a relationship. But I really had no experience of a real relationship and really how to love. Um, and so, you know, things that just ended up going really badly. I broke up with her in like a terrible way because I wasn't enough of a man to deal with and confront things, and I didn't want to make her sad, and I didn't want to let other people down. So I never talked about it with anybody. This is the first real time that I've talked about this in public with people. Um, you know, about how it really affected me in my relationship, and my relationship with other people and how I relate to them. And so yeah, that our relationship lasted about a year and a half. And by the time I stopped watching pornography and all that stuff, it'd been 5 or 6 years of that cycle. And so I knew in my heart I needed a change. I had started serving a youth group with my mom, and we went to this pilgrimage type thing for like a retreat for Catholic teens for 5 days called NCYC. And it was there that I heard these speakers that really kind of touched my heart and helped me to, you know, desire this change in me, to recognize that God loves me just the way I am, you know, in my brokenness, and that He wants to heal me of my brokenness. Because I thought, how could God ever love me like this, in sin and constantly falling again and again? I wouldn't receive communion for a long time. You know, I was scared to go to confession and even speak it because I was just so ashamed. For I was doing things before out of fear that I would go to hell, when I should have been doing it out of a love to serve Him, and you know, a desire to get to heaven, to be with Him, not because of me not wanting to go to hell, but because that's where God is, the person who can fulfill all my desires to its entirety, you know. And so I started to make changes. I started listening to Christian music. I started praying the rosary. And for me, the rosary was the game changer. The game changer for me definitely was the rosary. When I started doing the rosary, I stopped swearing as much. I eventually kicked that habit of watching pornography, you know, after like 5 or 6 years of struggling with it on a regular basis. And I really started to turn things around. It took me a long while after I stopped watching this stuff to really stop lusting after women, because it was just so hardwired in my brain that it was like the first thing that I saw when I looked at anybody was their body. I could look at somebody's body without even looking at their face, and I could tell you who it was with like at least 90% accuracy, I feel like. And so it took me a long while to really get over that. And you know, it's something that to this day I still struggle with, you know. It's like any addict in recovery will tell you, you're never fully sober, you're never fully, you know, done, you're never going back. It's a constant thing that you need to pray for and work through all the time, because it was an addiction, because it had impacted your life to such a level. And so, you know, through God's grace, I was eventually able to overcome it. But it took time, and it took trusting in Him and believing that He loved me even when I didn't believe it myself. You know, so the whole point of this testimony, it's kind of long, but the whole point is that God loves you even if you don't believe it. You know, there are many times that I've doubted, and I'll look at the world and I'm like, there's no way that God is here, because there's so much brokenness. But then God lets me know, He lets me know in small ways, right, that He is there and that He loves me and that He wants what's best for me, like a father, right? So, yeah, through all that, God has brought me here. Through His love, He's brought me here, and He'll bring me wherever He needs me to go next, right, in order to serve Him and do His will. Hey guys, so the video cut off early because my camera is strange, and I was in a rush, and I didn't realize it until afterward. So this is me, telling you that's basically the end of the story. So I want to hear now what you guys think, right? Tell me about your conversion story back to the church, or why you left the church, right? Because I'm here and I want to have those types of discussions and see people's different perspectives. So you can hit me up on Facebook, on Twitter, or Instagram, or YouTube. Not necessarily in that order, because I don't look at Facebook and Twitter that much. But Instagram or YouTube is cool, right? So I will see you guys next week. Oh, also let me know what you want to hear about next. All right? I'll see you guys next week. See ya.